package from China. Let's go. I think we're going to be having one of the coolest gadgets already. So the RG Rotate. That is actually a quite interesting overall concept with a Uni-SoC Tiger T680 64-bit processor. That's going to be paired with the Mali G52 that's running on 850 MHz. 3GB of RAM, that's quite an interesting overall, let's say, number. But nevertheless, what you're getting is an overall interesting concept with Android 12. Having the very strange resolution of 720 by 720, that's not going to be perfect for every single game. The Rotate construction, this is absolutely the coolest gimmick I have seen so far. So yep, we also had the slide that they released, but this is actually very cool. We're going to be having the option just to play around with it, and I can tell you the rotating situation is really satisfying. With Anbernic, and I compare this with, let's say, other brands I've seen on AliExpress, the overall setup guide is pretty cool, where I can fairly easily set up when it comes to the Wi-Fi, the time and date. But then we're going to be needing to wait. Yep, we're going to be needing to initialize. So what you can actually do is fitting this thing perfectly in your pocket. It's a little bit thicker than normal handheld, but you know, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a very long time this thing to actually set up all of the emulators and applications.
Hulk not happy, Hulk. Hulk smash!
But the overall setup is done. Let's press the button because it has some touchscreen, and let's do a quick overview. So when it comes to the rotation, overall functionality, I think it's really cool and everything works quite well. But also the rotation, where this is actually like the first generation of its kind, I can tell you this feels really smooth, and I love that you have all kinds of features you can use with the touchscreen itself. So let's do a quick overview of the applications out of the box and what are we going to be having when it comes to the controls. But let's do a quick overview of the device, and you know, what are we actually getting when it comes to this overall gadget? Is it going to be any fun, or is it going to be something you just need to forget about very quickly? By now you know the overall spinning configuration, that is maybe the funnest thing about it at the moment. However, if you're going to be looking at the overall configuration, we don't have an audio checkout with a lot of negativity online, and I completely understand. Having over here the overall, let's say, on and off switch and buttons for different configurations, volume control, having an option for an SD card slot. We do have all of the shoulder buttons implemented at the top over here, and we're going to be having in there the USB-C for charging. And you know, there is nothing much actually going on with the device itself, besides having a single speaker at the back, and it sounds okay, but not something very fancy. With a compact device, I find it absolutely unfortunate we don't have the stereo cool sound that we have the different versions. But let's crank it all the way up. And the audio itself, it's not like super bad or something, but it can be better. At the front we're going to be having an interesting configuration. So we're going to be having a D-pad. And as a D-pad gamer, man, I'm really happy with it. But the way how it feels and how it plays. I can tell you when it comes for just playing games, the way how this feels is, you know, when holding the device, we don't have like a massive device that we have seen before. Then, you know, compatibility, it's quite okay. The D-pad itself, yeah, it's like each micro switch with a very short overall travel. And okay, to the gameplay itself, I did actually play a little bit of different games and it worked quite well. Also when it comes to the AB, we do have a little bit of travel, but I really love the overall click. But again, that is something personal. But how about the overall functionality, what you can do with it? Because you can see that it has touchscreen. I think that is one of the cool features what you're getting with this device. We can just browse through, let's say, different apps. You just watch the news and everything else. I think that is the idea behind this gadget. They can actually play games, but also use it for your social media experiences. But how does the overall Android part work? But you can actually see out of the box, we're getting everything that we're going to be needing. I mean, particularly when it comes for having a Play Store, if you want the Aptoid Store, everything is installed. So I didn't install my Google account, but nevertheless, you can see tapping over here will bring you back. So the overall experience is pretty cool. We're having over the Anbernic AI, and everything that they are going to be offering with different devices are actually on here. So when it comes to the emulators, we can actually get into the emulator itself, boot them up separately. The downside to that part actually is, if you want, for example, to have the Mega Drive, you need to browse the folder, you need to set everything up. In my case, the games, I'm going to be having this certain folder that you need to get into. You know, this is absolutely a freaking hassle, but you can actually play through the emulator itself. I already did a couple of setting up just for fun to see how it actually is and how the overall emulation and performance is. But out of the box, I think this is one of the less convenient ways to play. That's the reason why we do actually have, and that I think is cool, have a different option. So let's slide it open, because if you're going to be using this, you can hold the back button, and this makes it so much easier to just navigate. So I said, like, there's a configuration button over here. If you're going to be holding it, it will get into the Anbernic software. We can have install Launchbox and everything else, but if you don't want to mess too much, you actually have like an interesting system that you configure your SD card fairly easy. So what you can just play is all kinds of different games. Of course, with the configuration of the power we're having with this particular device, we're going to be having some limits, of course. But nowadays we do have all kinds of different games that can be run on this, and I can tell the overall performance is surprisingly good. So yeah, if you want to play some old school, I say PlayStation 1, you can actually do that through the RetroArch. And everything is implemented with bezels. And yep, it actually runs pretty well. So when it comes for actually overall emulation performance, and I just realized I chose Eddie. Yep, I am an Eddie Gordo player now. Oh man. But when it comes to the performance, of course, here we're going to be having some really cool overall performance. Yeah, we can just play freaking PlayStation. I can still remember that I was just messing around with this first generation of, let's say, weird, let's say, knockoff things from China that barely play PlayStation 1, and now we have like this amazing piece of a gadget. They can just play this without any problem whatsoever. Don't go into upscaling or some kind of craziness, but that's it, you know. I play with Eddie, but I didn't play cheap. Oh yeah. But if you want to get out of the system itself, you can press the button over here, make even a quick load, quick save, and quit the game. And what you can do is hold the button and it will go back to the menu itself. So if you want to look into the overall emulation, let's say performance, I can actually do a deep dive video there. But I just want to say, like, when it comes to testing everything out, like out of the box, I even messed around with different emulators like Redream. Some of them are just simple modes. If you want to get into upscaling and just want to mess around with, some of the apps need to be bought separately through the Play Store itself. You can see, like, because of the overall as a configuration of the display, this is not going to be perfect for every single system. You can maybe mess around and just go into the stretching mode if you want to. Let's lower the volume itself because it's not going to be getting any better when it comes to cranking up the volume. But beside that, I think it's pretty cool that we can even play Sega Dreamcast on such a cool little gadget. Another very cool feature, if you just want to actually like close it down, you can just play later on. So if you just want to continue playing, you can just open it up and just start playing again. I think there are many features, and of course when it comes for playing certain games, take consideration, yeah, you know, when it comes for just playing some certain emulators, it's going to be needing more power. In this case, we're just going to be having less battery life itself. But with the introduction of many different improving, let's say, overall emulator situations, we do have the actually option to just play some PlayStation 2 now. And of course you need to do a little bit of a deep diving of which, like, one of the emulators is getting like best compatibility with, like, the hardware emulator type and actually going to be having the game, because it will have a little bit of a problem sometimes. And again, we can deep dive into the menu, start tweaking, but out of the box I just wanted to see what you're getting. And with Tekken Tag, this is a game that is not running on its full speed. What I wanted to actually experience when it comes for just racing games, you know, the overall, let's say, touch, but also the travel in combination with resistance of the micro switches are absolutely awesome. And I can tell you that I really enjoy myself playing. But if you're just like a joystick gamer, you want to have like a slider joystick like the PlayStation Portable, yeah, you're going to be absolutely disappointed. This is not like the most convenient way to play, but hey, it actually works. And I must say that I'm really surprised by how well this actually, let's say, works out when it comes for playing the overall games. Just the overall configuration, the way how this actually is. And I think this is absolutely a leap forward when you're looking at the overall configuration of everything that we have seen here on the channel. It's absolutely amazing what they did when it comes for just the overall experience. But let's get into some games that are going to be so much more difficult, like in the Thomas Wave. Oh, I died from something, I have no idea what it was. So where we struggled with a lot of, let's say, atomic wave emulation on many different game boxes, it seems to be working quite well when it comes to this little device. And this is one of the many surprises that is actually having in the end. So with some Sony PlayStation Portable gaming, you can actually do all kinds of even gaming here. So let's see if I had, no, don't want to play Tekken. I always choose fighting games. Yes, because I'm such a big fan of fighting games. I want to play Ridge Racer. Let's go. Because I did think there was like an old game there. No, there is no new. Yeah, let's start up a new game. Now you can see that you absolutely need to choose the new game. Otherwise you're going to be having a little bit of trouble there. So out of the box they messed up the A and B configuration. Yeah. But of course we're going to be having a massive black bars at the bottom and the top. So if you want to play PlayStation emulation or PlayStation Portable emulation on, let's say, the right resolution, this is not the device that you're going to be needing to buy. But like I mentioned before, like we can actually play PlayStation Portable, and you know, the overall performance is surprisingly good here. So again, like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, there is so much you can just play. And think about it, this is just an overall fun novelty. But when booting up into the Wii emulator, for example, you're going to be having all kinds of weird things on the screen. So we do need to do a little bit of configuration, but I didn't really want to care too much with it. I just wanted to see the overall performance. Of course, surprise, surprise, it is not running perfectly. But the fact that it actually boots up and we're going to have some decent frame rate, or like it's decent enough. I think it's pretty cool to see that we have like such a tiny device that has the option to actually play some Wii. I do wonder if they're going to be like doing a little bit of tweaking, if we can still have like an overall better emulation performance. But I think this is an overall improvement if you're looking at all of the wicked crap that we have seen here on the channel. And this is also cool. Let's continue playing. But let's talk about maintenance wise. So let's open it up. So what is possible if you don't use this device for a very long time period, that you're going to be having the problem that the battery itself is going to be broken. Where's my screw? Well, let's see how we can actually open it up. I just wanted to do a quick peek in the inside, the battery and everything. Let's see if this is going to be a big problem. Oh, you need to be super careful because the cable has been connected straight onto the freaking main board over there. But I must say, when it comes to repairability, they are doing a great job. Just want to delete the cable as it is. But you can just see over here, we're going to be having the lithium battery that can be changed fairly easy. So if you need to do or just swapping out the rechargeable battery, there's information on here that we can actually look up to. Maybe contact them in the future if you're going to be needing actually, like say, an overall better battery or actually a new one. But this is interesting. There's still a little bit of space, but would there be fitting in a bigger battery? That would be absolutely a necessary thing going on over here. I always love to just open up stuff to see how they made it, and I can tell you, opening up a lot of these Chinese devices, some of them only had soldering freaking, let's say, batteries, and the way how the Anbernic is making their devices nowadays. So when it comes to repairing, this is going to be absolutely something everybody can do. You can just see there's a connector over there. It's super easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Wasn't the thing they're saying normally? I know a lot of you actually asked me about the battery life, and also Retro Gamecore did a perfect video about this. Like, he actually adjusted to the 50% brightness volume, 6% standby overnight. I must say that the standby time, I don't know. Like, I've been putting this thing, like say, on standby for 24 hours and my battery is already empty. So when it comes to the battery life, this would be absolutely an improvement point for the overall RG Rotate. So what it's kind of cool that when it comes to Retro Gamecore, he actually did a full part of this video dedicated on how you need to set up the audio and visual part to getting the best overall experience when it comes for playing games on the RG Rotate. So far this is maybe the coolest device they have released. I mean, they released a slider version, but this is something different. It's small, it's compact. It has like enough power to run a lot of retro games, and the way if you just need to do a little bit of a repairing, you can do it. You can use it for your social media and everything else. The biggest downside is actually the battery, but besides that, I think this thing can do a lot of cool things that we didn't see before with such a tiny device. And again, They're still missing out an audio jack and of course the joystick, but let me know in the comments what do you think of this gadget. Would you consider buying it? Let me know in the comments. It will be great to see you in the next video.